Hi, this is Steve Hopkins, your head coach with Jordan River Group, and I'm just out for this gorgeous autumn day here in Michigan, and wanting to continue the series on quiet quitting. Right, we spent a little bit of time in the first video just talking about the definition of that, what we're talking about, and I think we really dove into this concept of rebuilding a new kind of contract, right? A psychological contract and a focus on the relational side of the um, the engagement between you as a supervisor and them as an employee being different than just a pure contractual, right? And so we spent a little bit of time talking about that. And then I think also in the last video we talked about cultivating and encouraging and uplifting our employees, our partners' voices, right, as one of the key things we can focus on. So today we're going to spend a little bit of time just talking about the definition of high quality work, and that sometimes we fall asleep at the wheel and we just make work work, and we don't really reinvigorate and inspire what we're even asking our team members, our partners, to take on, right? Just the same as we'd like to be inspired. We'd like to feel that the task at hand, the work that we're doing, is worth it and inspirational and high quality, right? So we'll just talk about the definition of that just a little bit. And you can be thinking the opposite, to think, hey, am I in a rut right now with not addressing this, right? The same old, or a little bit of redundancy. Things haven't changed that much. Some of those things often will cause somebody to just kind of seat back, and their inspiration is lowered, and they're just kind of checking out as the work kind of erodes. So let's talk a little bit about understanding what high quality work looks like in the eye of the beholder, right? You as well put yourself in this position. So the first thing I think about is varied, really the variation and the meaningfulness of tasks, right? Varied and meaningful tasks. And this would just be that, hey, we're not doing the exact same thing every day, and we have a way of perceiving that what we're doing makes a difference. All right. So have some variation in there, make the days and the weeks a little bit exciting from week to week and month to month, so that people are challenged and they're inspired, and every day is not the same as far as that goes. So that's really important, as well as occasionally we need to connect the dots. Sometimes people will feel like what they're doing is confined to their team or their department, and it doesn't really make a big impact. All right, it's our job as leaders to make sure that we describe and we draw the lines to meaningfulness tasks that we give them. All right. A second thing I'd point out is clear goals. Clear goals kind of get lost in the shuffle sometimes, or they get talked about as an assumption. All right, that it's just assume that you kind of get what we're talking about and you understand what the destination is, and that can get very, very difficult. When we talk about meaningful work, there's so much vacillation, things change, and I don't know what the finish line looks like. And so people just kind of check down, and it doesn't feel good to fail. And it really feels terrible to feel like you're failing when you don't even really know what winning looks like. All right. And so setting clear goals is really important. Of course, environment's a part of the puzzle as well. So when we talk about meaningful work, we have to pay attention to the environment and the people around us. All right. Nothing I've seen that causes somebody to slip back into kind of a quiet disengagement mode than just feeling like they're around a bunch of people that are really negative and virus contagious as far as negative attitudes and a culture there. So it's like, I'm just going to put in my time because there's nothing here that's really worth investing in as it pertains to my team members. And that's really, really sad. But I've also seen a lot of supervisors just not tend to that at all. All right. And it's like, hey, the people are the people and they'll sort it out. And it's our responsibility to promote a positive team environment so that people can thrive in that environment. You've probably heard me talk a lot, if you're familiar with this channel at all, about autonomy, and autonomy being one of those innate desires that most all of us have. And of course, it's a broad range of descriptions of what autonomy could be for each individual person. But to have some level of autonomy in their work is something most of our partners and employees really desire. okay? And that's just the ability to do their job on their own, to show that they can do it, that I'm capable. You don't have to micromanage me. You can give me something and let me have it. As soon as we feel like the distrust and the oversight is so tight on us, we often will just kind of, disengage in being daring, disengage in trying, disengage in taking new steps. Those things all disappear, and just the opposite of autonomy, which is what we really want, comes back, and it's becoming more and more and more dependent. And that's when it gets very fatiguing for us as supervisors, because it's like, can't you do anything on your own? It's like, no, you don't let me do anything on my own. So it's kind of this really negative cycle that goes round and round. So keep your eyes open that you're encouraging some level of autonomy in the work that they're doing. Of course, they need to earn it, they need to prove it, but play around with that formula and make sure to include some of that in there, okay? And the last thing I'd say is this whole idea of reasonableness, right? And this is, we've just gone through a couple of years of COVID. There's nothing really been reasonable about the ask of employees, and that's not sustainable, right? We need to make sure schedules are reasonable, the amount of work is reasonable, that the time of a lot of PTO is reasonable. All these things, both on the ask and the give back for recovery and rejuvenation, are all reasonable. And we have a tired workforce out there, and so now you have to be especially careful about the way you interpret this. All right, and you have to examine that. I had somebody say, they were a 40-hour salary person, and now they're a 60-hour salary person with no change of pay. And it's just like, that's the workload. It's like, okay, how's that going to work out long term? People will start to, slip backwards as far as that goes. So when employees are fatigued, that's when you really want to focus on some of these things. You got to be careful not to overload them, looking and keep your eyes open for, trying to drop excessive work demands, trying to drop long work hours, unreasonable pressures. I mean, all of these things we have to really challenge ourselves to take a look at. All right, and see, is it just continuing? And I'm not talking about the one, the one 1 week sprint or a weekend to get ready for a survey or something like that. I'm talking about the sustainable continuation. When employees are fatigued and the ask just continues and continues and continues, all right, that will cause somebody, even if they decide I gotta stay employed, they don't have to stay employed at the same engagement level. All right, it's just too much. And so keep your eyes open for that. So offering high quality work, that's so important. And sometimes we just forget about it. We assume, of course, that the jobs that we oversee are high quality work. We're proud of our company. We're proud of our team. We haven't checked into these things to see if, from their perspective, they would determine that this is high quality work as well, with the things I've spelled out for you. But so take a look at that, kind of self-examine. Again, look in the mirror a little bit. If you need help with any of this, let me know. But we'll get to the last one here on our next video, Quiet Quitting 4. And hopefully these tips will help you get through this. Thanks.